Hay una historia en el Midrash que plasma realmente cuál es la actitud de la gente ante la vida. Yo se las voy a leer, la platicamos y vamos a llegar a una conclusión muy interesante. El Midrash dice, Maaseh beisha ahat sheizkina arbe. Hubo una historia con una mujer que envejeció demasiado. Hasta ahí podríamos hacer una pregunta, ¿eso es bueno o es malo? ¿Es bueno? ¿Larga vida?
No, demasiado.
Arihut Yamim.
Estás comiendo demasiado.
Vino delante de Rabbi Yossi ben Halaftá, el jajam grande de la época, y le dijo, Rabbi, Zakanti yoter midai, jajam, he envejecido demasiado. Desde ahora mi vida ya va hacia abajo, puras cosas negativas. Ya no me sabe la comida, no me sabe la bebida. Por lo tanto, quiero abandonar mi existencia en el planeta Tierra. Yo le diría, cambia tu enfoque, ve lo positivo, valora lo que tienes. El jajam, lejos de hacer esto, le dijo, dime qué acto llevas a cabo diariamente en honor a Dios. Esta larga vida que tienes seguramente es mérito de una acción tuya. ¿Qué acción llevas a cabo todos los días en honor a Dios? Le contesta a la mujer, tenga lo que tenga, lo dejo a un lado y me voy tempranito todos los días al templo. Me voy al Bet Knesset, diario, no fallo. Sea lo que sea que tenga, lo dejo. Le dijo Rabbi Yossi, deja de ir al Bet Knesset 3 días seguidos. Dice el Midrash, dejó de ir 3 días seguidos. Bayom Shelishi, halta umeta. El tercer día enfermó y murió. Esta es una historia muy interesante porque es inentendible. ¿Cómo el jajam le dice, deja de ir 3 días al Bet Knesset? Debería decirle, no, ¿cómo? ¿En qué estás pensando? La vida es espectacular, maravillosa. Y en vez de eso le dio la opción de abandonar el mundo. Entonces la realidad es la siguiente. La vida no es igual de valiosa para todos. Sépanlo desde ya. Hay 8,000 millones de habitantes en el planeta Tierra. Pero no es igual de valiosa la vida para cada uno de ellos. Habrá gente que valore su existencia, que atesore cada día, que aproveche cada oportunidad. Y habrá otro que diga, me pesa estar vivo, ya no quiero más. La vida para un yehudí tiene que ser lo más valioso que existe. En la Torá encontramos cuando el faraón había decretado sobre las parteras de Am Israel que a todos los niños varones que nacían, ellas tenían que matarlos antes de echarlos al río. La temática era otra. El faraón no quería un escándalo nacional. Niños al río es muy escandaloso, hay que hacerlo bajo perfil. ¿Cuál era la idea? La partera viene a ayudar a la mujer que está pariendo, sale el bebé, ve que es un varón, lo asfixia y le dice, nació muerto. Todo eso, obviamente con cautela, con sigilo, nació muerto, ya no hay nada que hacer, no hay nada que hacer. Las parteras de Am Israel son nada más y nada menos la madre y la hermana de Moshe y Aarón, Yochebed y Miriam. Dice la Torá, ellas no hicieron lo que le solicitó al faraón, batehayena et ailadim. Ayudaron a vivir a los niños, no nada más no los mataron. Dicen los jajamim, ellas se ocuparon de nutrir, de limpiar, de cuidar a los niños para que tuvieran vida. ¿Esta es una acción normal o no normal? Piensen bien. Todos van a decir no normal. Error. Es normal. Si a ti te dicen el día de mañana, oye, tienes que matar a los niños del hospital ABC, ¿qué dirías? No, de ninguna manera. Entonces no es anormal lo que ellas hicieron, es natural. ¿Alguien de aquí es un asesino? ¿Sí o no? Oí un sí por ahí, me preocupé. No, nadie. Entonces cuando llega el faraón y te dice, tienes que matar niños de Israel, obviamente dirías no. Entonces, ¿por qué se considera la acción de ellas algo tan formidable si es algo normal? No nada más eso, dice la Torá, Vayaz laem batim, Dios las recompensó a estas dos mujeres, que de ellas salgan casas. ¿Qué es casas? Kohanim, Leviim, Melachim. De ellas salieron los Kohanim, Leviim y reyes. Porque Miriam se casó con Caleb en Yefuné, de la tribu de Yehudá, y tuvieron reyes. De Yochebed salió Moshe, que era Leví, a Aarón, es Cohen. Tuvieron una recompensa bárbara por no matar. Hay que darle recompensa a la gente por no matar. Entonces la respuesta es la siguiente. Ellas tenían otra opción. No nada más mato o no mato a los niños. Había otra opción en el repertorio. ¿Cuál era? Podían haber dicho, yo me retiro, dejo de trabajar en esta área y se acabó. Ya no tengo que matar a nadie, ya me quito el problema. La recompensa Dios se las entregó debido a que ellas, en vez de evadir esa responsabilidad, la tomaron y dijeron, vamos a seguir siendo parteras y vamos a ayudar a vivir a los niños. No toda la gente toma la responsabilidad. Hay mucha gente que dice, ese no es mi tema, yo para qué, yo no me meto, que lo haga alguien más. El decir, yo lo hago, yo lo tomo, eso es lo que les dio la recompensa tan maravillosa que tuvieron. Jajam Ovadia Yosef una vez dio un shiur, dio una clase donde aparece el fundador y director de Efrat, la organización que vino hoy con nosotros y nos van a platicar. Jajam Ovadia Yosef tenía de invitado al doctor Eli Shushain, que fue el fundador de Efrat. Y Jajam Ovadia contó una historia. Dijo, hace 6 meses vino una mujer conmigo a invitarme a la boda de su hijo. Y le dije la verdad. ¿Cuál es la verdad? Tengo muchas cosas que hacer. Yo estoy ocupado en mi estudio, en mis libros. ¿Cuántas bodas seguramente querían su participación de Jajam Ovadia Yosef? Cientos o miles, no puede ir a cada boda. Le dijo a la mujer, no puedo ir, perdón, estoy ocupado. Y la mujer le dijo, es tu hijo el que se casa. ¿Cómo? Jajam Ovadia impactado, le dijo, ¿cómo? ¿Mi hijo? ¿El que se casa? ¿De qué me estás hablando? Entonces la mujer le dijo, hace 20 años yo vine con usted, Jajam. ¿Por qué? Porque le habían dicho los médicos que abortara a su bebé, porque iba a nacer con ciertos problemas físicos. Y Jajam Ovadia la convenció de que no abortara. Y ese niño nació 20 años después, se va a casar y todo gracias a usted. Es su hijo, entonces tiene que venir a la boda. Vean esa clase, es algo espectacular, en YouTube la pueden encontrar, donde Jajam Ovadia Yosef cuenta esa historia, todo el mundo aplaudiendo, pero no terminó ahí. Jajam Ovadia dijo, está escrito en Ben David, va al Sheikhlu al Neshamot Shebaguf, para que llegue el Mashiach, tienen que acabarse las almas del guf. ¿Qué es el guf? La traducción es cuerpo, pero no se refiere a cuerpo. Hay un lugar donde están las almas de todos los Yehudim que van a llegar al mundo. Ese lugar se llama guf. ¿Cuándo va a venir el Mashiach? Cuando todas esas almas lleguen acá abajo. Entonces cada uno que se ocupa en esta labor tan sagrada de traer vidas al mundo, tiene realmente una misión de traer al Mashiach que la está ejecutando. Hay una Gemara que dice así, regresando al faraón. Paró dijo que había que matar a todos los niños. ¿Cuál fue la reacción del jajam más grande de la época? El líder de Israel. Se llama Amram. ¿Qué hizo Amram? Se separó de su esposa. ¿Para qué traer hijos si se van a morir? En ese momento su hija, Miriam, de 6 años, lo enfrentó. Vean lo que dice el Talmud. Le dijo, papá, Paró a Rasha, Paró el malvado, hizo un decreto de matar a todos los niños. Tu decreto, papá, es peor que el del faraón. ¿Cuál decreto del papá? El papá no hizo ningún decreto, nada más se separó de su esposa. Entonces la Gemara dice que como él era el líder, todos hicieron lo mismo que él. Si el Jajam se separó para no traer más hijos, todos nos separamos y no traemos más hijos. ¿Para qué traerlos si se van a morir? Entonces le dijo a su hija, tu decreto, lo que hiciste tú, provocó un efecto dominó y está peor que el del faraón. Ahora vean lo que dice. Se sabe en la primera parte. Les voy a leer también la segunda parte. Sheparó lo gazar el alas de Harim. Paró solamente decretó la muerte de los varones. Beatá gazarta las de Harim be la nekebot. Tú con tu decreto ya no nacen niñas tampoco. Estás evitando el nacimiento de niños y de niñas. ¿Quién está peor? ¿Está peor tú? Esa es la primera parte que les dije que se saben. Viene la segunda parte. Paró lo gazar el abaolamazé. El decreto del faraón afecta este mundo material. Beataba olamazé vela olamaba. Lo que tú estás haciendo afecta este mundo y el mundo eterno. Y aquí uno se pregunta, ¿el mundo eterno? ¿Qué tiene que ver aquí el mundo eterno? Él dijo, me separo de mi esposa. Todos se separaron de sus mujeres. Yo les pregunto, ¿eso qué provoca?
Que los almas no bajen y no puedan...
Que no nazcan. Y ya, ¿dónde dice aquí que se afecta el mundo eterno? Dice Rashi, oigan esta después, es fantástica. Les puede servir en muchas situaciones. Dice Rashi, Anoladim umetim bejosdrim jaim la olam haba. Un niño que viene al mundo y logró nacer, aunque luego muera, tiene parte en el mundo eterno. Si viene el niño y lo mata la partera o lo mata el faraón, ya nació. Si ya nació, con eso se ganó su participación en el mundo venidero. Dice Rashi, Atá gazarta, pero tu papá decretaste que no nazcan. Y un alma que no nace, enam baim la olam haba, no tienen participación en el mundo de la eternidad. El hecho de estar en este mundo, de haber venido acá, ya no importa lo demás, dice Rashi. Aunque sean segundos, si llegó vivo, nació, aunque pase lo que pase, ya tiene acceso al mundo del paraíso celestial. Rav Shlomo Volve, en el libro Ale Shur, este era un gran jajam, maestro espiritual del Musar en Am Israel. Él cuenta lo siguiente. Visité una vez a un Talmid Jajam de mucho nivel. Este Talmid Jajam, Zaken Muflag, llegó a una edad demasiado avanzada. Lo Ra'a, ya no veía, Beshamá Rak Bekoshi, y escuchaba con mucha dificultad. Sus piernas ya no le funcionaban. ¿Te están animando a vivir mucho? Veo que ya no. Ya no veía, apenas escucha, ya no camina. Robe baraba penimiim ba'alisurim. Y debido a diferentes padecimientos internos, sufría mucho. Roshot, Salul, pero estaba lúcido completamente. Bediburó Barur, y hablaba claro. Entonces Rav Shlomo Volve lo fue a visitar. Dice el Jajam, le pregunté cómo estaba, cómo se sentía. ¿Cuál será la respuesta? ¿Qué no ves? ¿No? ¿Qué no ves? ¿Qué le están preguntando? Ya no ve, apenas oye, ya no camina, le duele todo. Y le pregunta, ¿cómo estás? La pregunta ofende. Contestó este jajam, Kedaim kola isurim sheba olam rak kedel ichiot. Vale la pena todo el sufrimiento con el simple hecho de estar vivo. Etzem haim hita'anug. El hecho de estar vivo ya es un privilegio, ya lo disfruto. Así contestó el Rab. Otro nivel. Cualquier otra persona diría, ya llévenselo por favor. Pero el Jajam estaba pensando en otra cosa. ¿En qué? En que la vida misma tiene valor. La vida en sí tiene un valor. que nosotros no estamos acostumbrados a verlo desde ese enfoque. A ti te preguntan, ¿la vida tiene valor? Contestarías, depende qué vida. Depende qué vida. Hay vidas que no queremos tener y que no estaríamos deseando vivir. Entonces te preguntan, ¿la vida vale la pena? Tú contestarías, depende cuál. ¿Qué contestó el Jajam? Vale la pena, con todo lo que implica el sufrimiento. Dice la Mishnah en Masejet Sanedrin, Nibraha Adam Yehidi. ¿Por qué al ser humano lo crearon? Un solo individuo, un hombre. Y luego se empezó a poblar. Le trajeron a la mujer, luego empezaron con más hijos. Si Dios quería poblar el mundo, hubiera creado a 100 millones de una vez. De un jalón. Dice la Mishnah, para enseñarte varias cosas. Una de ellas, Kola Mekayem Nefeshahat mi Israel. Todo aquel que ayuda a vivir a un alma de Israel, Keilu Kiyem Olam Male, es como haber dado vida al mundo entero. Porque cuando tú dices, toda la humanidad viene de uno, ¿cuánto vale uno? Vale todo, vale todos los demás. Cuando Caín mató a Hebel, dice la Torá, Hashem llegó y le preguntó, ¿dónde está tu hermano? Para abrir plática, para entrar en conversación, darle la oportunidad de reconocer. Caín le contestó, yo no soy el cuidador de mi hermano. Yo no soy el cuidador, tú eres el cuidador. Yo no sé dónde está. Hashem lo reprochó, le reclamó y le dijo, ¿qué hiciste? Kol de mea hija tzoakim elai mina adama. Pongan atención. La voz de las sangres de tu hermano claman desde la tierra. ¿Por qué dice las sangres? O la sangre debería de decir. Dice Rashi, la sangre de él y la de todos los que iban a nacer de él. Es tu responsabilidad. Tú no mataste a uno. Mataste a cientos de miles de personas. Porque de él iban a salir quién sabe cuántos. Es la responsabilidad de una vida. Ahora, vamos a ponerle un toque nosotros del mes de Elul. Baruch Hashem, tenemos vida. Y con estar vivos es un gran privilegio. Pero no hay que acabar ahí. Dicen los Jajamim lo siguiente. Rabbi Eliyahu Lopian dijo en nombre del Saba Mikelem, Rab Simcha Zissel, allá que da el libro de Taolam le Meshech Sheshet Alfe Shenotav, valió la pena el mundo con sus 6,000 años que viene en paquete para que un solo Yehudí una vez en su vida diga Baruch Hu u Baruch Shemo. ¿Tú entendiste eso? 6,000 años valieron la pena para una vez que un Yehudí esté en el Knis y digan Baruch Ata Hashem y él conteste Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo, vale la pena. Pues no acabó ahí. 1,000 Baruch Hu u Baruch Shemo, 1,000 de esos que ya valió la pena todo el mundo, no equivalen a un amén. Un amén es mucho más grande, mucho más valioso. 1,000 amén no llegan a un amén Yeshemer Rabbah, que es todavía más valioso. Y 1,000 amén Yeshemer Rabbah no llegan a una palabra de Torah. Entonces, ¿cuánto vale esto? ¿Cuánto vale una palabra de Torah? Ya no entendimos la proporción. 6,000 años de toda la humanidad, de cientos de miles de millones de seres humanos, vale la pena para un Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. Y 1,000 de esos no llegan a un amén. Y 1,000 amén no llegan a un amén Yeshemer Rabbah. Y 1,000 amén Yeshemer Rabbah no llegan a una palabra de Torah. ¿Esto qué nos enseña? Que tenemos que empezar a valorar cada minuto, cada instante, cada vida en general y saber canalizar toda esa energía para algo Bezrat Hashem positivo. Hoy que tenemos esta oportunidad, vamos a escuchar de nuestra invitada Yafa Palti, speaker y embajadora de Efrat, que viene a compartirnos la labor que ellos hacen, que no está enfocada al público religioso, está enfocada a cualquier judío del planeta Tierra para ayudar a traer vidas al mundo. Bezrat Hashem, les damos la bienvenida para que nos comparta un poquito de su proyecto.
Hola. Buenas noches. soy Yafa Palti. Yo estoy visitando de Miami. Vive aquí, 11 años. Estaba aquí en México. No sé si me conocen o si conocen a mi esposo, Niso Palti. Pero aquí estoy para hablar con ustedes poquitas palabras sobre Efrat, sobre Elul, Rosh Hashanah, pero voy a hablar en inglés. Porque cuando habla en español, habla de mi cabeza. Cuando habla en inglés, habla de mi corazón. ¿Está bien? Okay. One time, I was giving a lecture to a whole room filled with teenagers. Okay? Teenagers, and that is important to understand for the story. And I asked them, I said, can you tell me what is your favorite thing to do on a day off? You have a day off from school, what's your favorite thing to do? And everybody yelled out, sleep. I said, okay, fine, but let's say you're off for a week. You have a week off from school. What are you gonna do? You're gonna sleep the whole week? What do you want to do on your vacation? And everybody yelled out, sleep. So I said to them, but what's the point of being alive if all you really want to do is, if the greatest pleasure in life is to sleep, what's the point of being alive? And you know what they said to me? One person raised her hand and she said, you don't understand. If we were dead, we would never have the pleasure of waking up so that we can go back to sleep again. Now, there are some people who actually sleep their way through life. There are. How many people are alive in the world today? Anybody know? 8 billion. 8 billion people alive in the world today. Out of all those people who are alive, how many of them are actually living? Oh, that's a good question, right? Being alive doesn't equal living. Because life is not about having a heart that beats. Anyone can have a heart that beats. Life is about having a heart that sings, having a heart that dances. It's not just about being alive. Now we're approaching Rosh Hashanah, and what is our main prayer? Our main tefillah on Rosh Hashanah is that we should be written down in the Sefer HaChaim. This is what we're praying for, Sefer Chaim. Hashem, please give me another year of life. That's what we all pray for, but what are we actually praying for? Another year of just existing? Another year of having a heart that beats? There has to be more to it. So let's understand a little bit about what life actually means. What does it mean to be alive? So let's learn the first example from one of our imahot, Sarah Imenu. When did we meet Sarah for the first time? We meet Sarah for the first time at her death. And the parasha tells us over there that Sarah lived, how many years? 127 years. But the Torah writes it very interesting. It says that Sarah lived 127, which is a little weird, right? Shouldn't it just say she lived 127 years? Look, why these extra words? It's like when you have to write a term paper and you need to have 300 words, so you add in all the little words so you have enough. The Torah is not a term paper, and there's nothing extra in the Torah. So it has to have a deeper significance. So Rashi tells us, Rashi is the main commentary on the Torah, and he tells us that it's because when Sarah was 100, it was as if she was 20. And when she was 20, it was as if she was 7, which sounds lovely. But you stop and you think for a minute, what is Rashi praising? Youth. Is Rashi subscribing to the generation of worshiping youth? We all talk about, we want to look younger, and people spend so much time and energy and resources doing whatever procedures they can to look younger. Why was Rashi praising her youth? So it obviously is something more than just her physical youth, her physical appearance. It wasn't her beauty, her physical beauty. There's something very important to understand about youth. When you think about a young child, what is the first thing you think of? What's a characteristic of a young child? What do you think? What? Joy, happiness, what else? Curiosity, right? Enthusiasm, excitement. They're so excited. Everything is a question. Everything is, wow, did you see this? Did you see that? A child knows that there is such a huge world out there that they don't know and they don't understand. And they want to know more about it. So they're so excited. Every single day they wake up with so much joy. That is the characteristic of a child, and that's who Sarah Imenu was. And that's why she was able to have a baby when she was almost 100, because she was so young at heart. Life to her wasn't just, oh, another day. Another day of life. Another day for me to live. Another day for me to be and to do. That's what it means to be alive, to be excited about life. And I'll give you one more example. David HaMelech, El Rei David. He teaches us something so profound. During these days of Elul, we say a capítulo of Tehillim extra in our prayers that we don't say the rest of the year. Anyone know what that capítulo is?
27.
Okay, and the words are that we say, David Hashem, Ori v'yish'i, and in there, if you continue reading further, some of these words might sound familiar to you. David HaMelech is asking Hashem for one favor. He says, Shifti bevet Hashem, kol yemei chayai. He says, Hashem, I want to live with you in your home, together with you, all the days of my life. I want to move in with you. I want to be a permanent resident with you in your home. And that sounds so beautiful. But then you continue reading, and the pasuk says, Ulevaker v'heichalo. Oh, and also, Hashem, I want to come visit. Which one is it, David? Do you want to be a permanent resident in the house of Hashem, or do you want to be a visitor and come visit? So here's what I think this means. And I'll explain it with an example. I grew up in New York. All my years of living in New York, I have never once gone to the Statue of Liberty. All of you who went to visit New York, have you gone to the Statue of Liberty? Of course, it's the first thing on your itinerary, right? One of them. I lived in Israel for 7 years after I got married. I never once left Jerusalem, hardly ever, right? I didn't go up to north, I didn't go down south. As soon as I moved away from Israel and I went back to visit, I was all over the country. I was like, this existed when I lived here? Where is this? You know why? Because when we live somewhere, we become very jaded. It just becomes part of our daily life, our daily routine. Everything is just, another day, go to work, eat, come home, do this. We're not excited, but when you go on vacation, when you're a visitor, you have an itinerary, right? We're going to do this on Monday, we're going to do that on Tuesday, we're going to do that on Wednesday, we're going to wake up at 7 o'clock, everybody up, start off the day. It's incredible. You want to see everything. That's what David HaMelech was telling Hashem. He said, Hashem, I want to be a permanent resident with you in your home. I want to live with you and learn your Torah and keep your mitzvot. But I want to live as if I am a visitor. I want to be a permanent resident, but I want to live as if I'm a visitor. I don't want to be jaded. I want to be full of excitement to do your mitzvot every single day and to live my life every single day. That's what it means to truly live. Our goal when we're asking Hashem for a year of chaim, a year of life, it's not just about another year to exist. Hashem says, look, and by the way, we're very nervous sometimes, right? Everyone's nervous before Rosh Hashanah. Is Hashem going to write me down in Sefer Chaim? Hashem is not the one who writes you in Sefer Chaim. Each one of you is your own author of that book. You're the ones who get to decide. Hashem says, look, of course I want to give you another year of life. But how are you going to live that life? What are you going to do with that life? Is it going to be a life where you just have a heart that beats? Or is it going to be a life where you have a heart that sings? And that's what we need to understand about life and about living. And that brings me to our topic for tonight and our theme for tonight, where we're speaking about a life for a life, the importance of a life, the importance of choosing to live. Because what's the mitzvah that we have in the Torah about choosing to live? It's coming up in a few weeks in the parsha. Ubacharta b'chaim. What does that mean? Ubacharta b'chaim. Anybody know? Choose life. So I have a question about that. Let me know. Does this bother any of you that we have a mitzvah to choose life? It bothers me, and I'll tell you why. Because I was born, and I didn't have a choice whether or not I want to be born. Here I am. I was born. I didn't choose it. None of us sitting in this room chose life. So here's how we understand what the Torah means. The mitzvah of choosing life. It doesn't mean that you are choosing to be alive. That's not our choice, whether or not to be alive. Our choice is whether or not we're going to live. That's the choice. How are we going to live this life? What are we going to fill our life with? And we have another understanding of U'b'charta b'chaim. We get to help other people choose life. And that's what I wanted to speak to you tonight about Efrat, about the incredible organization of Efrat. Raise your hand if you've heard of Efrat before. Okay, very few. Only very few of you have heard of Efrat. Let me tell you a little bit about what Efrat is and what they do. Efrat is an incredible organization where they save so many Jewish babies every single day, every single month, every single year. Do you know that to this date, and I'll explain what I mean by that, today, what's the exact number near? 88,000? I think it's 336. I thought it was 300 something. To this day, Efrat has saved 88,336. Is that what you said? 336 babies. 88,000. Do we know what that means? Do we know what that means? How do they save these babies? Because there are many women who become pregnant and they're feeling very scared during their pregnancy. Anyone in this room who has experienced a pregnancy, raise your hand. Okay, any men in this room whose wives experienced pregnancy, raise your hand. Okay, so many of us have been around pregnancy and understand pregnancy. Now, if I were to ask you, any of the women or any of the husbands, okay, what were some of the emotions you felt when you were pregnant? What would you tell me?
Love.
Love? Oh, that's so nice. Love, that's one of the emotions, of course. What else did you feel?
Fear.
Fear, absolutely. Happiness. What else? Worries. All of these emotions are normal, and sometimes we don't talk about the fears that we experience and the worries that we feel during pregnancy because we say, what do you mean? It's such a bracha. How could I have any negative emotion? But there are so many women that when they're pregnant, they experience tremendous fear, whether they're afraid because they don't think they could financially take care of this child, or because they don't feel any emotional support from their husbands, from their family. There are so many reasons why a woman would be scared to have a baby. And you might not know this, but there are so many women in your own communities, women that you might see every single day in the supermarket, in the knis, wherever you go. There are women who have experienced pregnancies that terrified them, pregnancies that devastated them because they didn't know how they were going to take care of this child. It could be a relative of yours. You could have a cousin who experienced it. You could have a sibling who experienced it, right? But we don't know because people don't really talk about it. But statistically, we know how many women are experiencing this tremendous fear. Another really difficult emotion that women experience during pregnancy sometimes is loneliness, especially if they don't have the emotional support. And loneliness is the worst possible human condition that someone can experience. And you know that a person does not have to be alone to feel lonely. You could be lonely in a crowded room. You could be lonely in a marriage. You could be lonely with 1 million Instagram followers. You could be lonely even if you're not alone because you don't have emotional support, or you're afraid of something and you can't express that to somebody else. And that's what Efrat does. Efrat is an organization that fulfills the mitzvah every single day of U'b'charta b'chaim. They are there for a woman who says, I'm so scared to have my baby. I'm so scared. I feel like I have no choice but to abort this baby. I can't have the baby. And Efrat says to them, of course you have a choice. We're here to help you. We're going to give you whatever you need, financially, emotionally, psychologically. We'll help you. We'll give you the therapy that you need. We'll take care of you during the pregnancy. We have homes that we can house you in, if that's what you need. We can send you, we give you job training. We help you find a job. We offer babysitting after you have the baby. We take care of your baby for a full year. Diapers, formula, cribs, for 24 months actually, for more than a year. That's right, 24 months. Diapers, formula, carriage, crib, anything that you need at all. Efrat tells the woman. So you have a choice. You're not alone. We're here for you. And we're here with you. And you know what the percentage of women who go to Efrat wanting to have an abortion and end up not having an abortion and end up having their babies. And by the way, when I say wanting to have an abortion, I want to explain what I mean. I don't know even one woman who actually wanted to have an abortion. Most mothers, right, from when they become pregnant, they want to have their baby. The only reason they would think that they have to abort the baby is because they feel so desperate or they feel so alone or so scared that they feel like they have no other option. And you would think, okay, so let Efrat be there for them during the pregnancy, and then when they have the baby, they can give the baby up for adoption, right? We can think that. Do you know how many mothers got support from Efrat, had their babies, and then gave their babies up for adoption? Zero. Take a guess. Zero. Not even one. 88,336 babies stayed with their mothers because Efrat gave these mothers the confidence to know that they can take care of their baby and that they're not alone. It's unbelievable what Efrat does. And we have an opportunity to help save these babies' lives. We all know what's going on in Israel right now. And how many times do we wake up in the morning and we say, I wish there was something I could do, but there's this war going on that's way above me. There's nothing I can do. I can't end this war, right? And we wish we can do something. You know that there's another war going on in Israel at the same time. It's the war of abortion. Do you know how many babies a year? I want you to guess. How many babies a year are aborted in Israel? Every year. Do you know how many babies? Guess any number. You said 1,000? 500? 35,000 babies are aborted every year in Israel, our Jewish brothers and sisters. So Efrat is here to fight that war because you know what? That's a war that we could win. We could win the war against abortion by showing the mothers, you're not alone, you don't have to do that. We're here with you. We're here to help you. Right? And every life that has been lost in Israel, whether during this war or in all the years past, every life that has been lost, we want to take that number and we want to double and triple by replacing, by bringing more life into the world. Because we lost much too much life and we're losing much too much life. And every single one of us can get involved in doing that. And do I have a few minutes just to share my personal story with Efrat, about Efrat? Does anybody mind? Okay. I'm going to share my story of how I got involved with Efrat. I only met Efrat and Nir from Efrat about 2.5 years ago. Before that, I never knew who Efrat was. What happened was, we live in Miami, and we moved to Miami a couple of years before that to build my husband as a rabbi. We moved there to build a shul, to build a community, and we were renting a house. We live in a conjunto with about 200 Jewish families, and most of the families there are very, very disconnected from their Judaism, and we were hoping to kind of bring them a little closer by creating a Jewish community there for them. They're all Latinos. Most of them are Latinos from Venezuela, from Colombia, from everywhere. And we said, okay, so we're going to stay here, but let's see, we don't know if it's going to work. So we're going to rent a house meanwhile. We rented a house and we had the shul in our living room. And we started off with 30 people, and slowly it was growing and growing and growing. We had 50, 70, 80. We couldn't fit in our home anymore. So we said, you know what? I think for next Rosh Hashanah, we're going to have to build a tent, a karpa, because we couldn't build a building yet. We don't have room in our home. I think we'll do that. And we were very excited. Okay, we have like 8, 9 more months left, and then we're going to build our tent. The next day, we get a phone call from the landlord of our home, and he says, we just sold your house. You have 3 months and you have to leave. We're like, excuse me? We didn't know the house was for sale. He didn't even offer it to us. He sold the house. This was November 1st. We had until February 1st to leave the house. Now, I don't know if you know what the market is like in Miami, okay? There are no homes available, and we had a very small area that we can live in because we have to be part of our whole kihila lives in that conjunto. We have to be near them. And it's Miami. It's 1,000 degrees. We can't walk too far. We have to be close, right? We looked everywhere in the vicinity. Nothing available. And if there was one house available, it was way over budget. The pricing is crazy, right? Very expensive. But there was nothing available, and we didn't know what to do. And we have November, December, January. We spend every single day looking, asking, calling, searching. I went knocking on people's doors. And I said, excuse me, do you want to sell your house? Knocking on rent. They're like, no, why do I want to sell it? I was like, yeah. I even acted a little bit to them. I said, is this the house that's for sale? I remember seeing a house. Was it this one? Just to see if maybe they'd be curious about selling their home. Nobody. No luck anywhere. Finally, February 1st comes. We have to move. We have no home. We took all of our belongings and we put it into storage. And we were officially homeless. We had no home to live in. Me, my husband, all of my children, we had no home to live in. One of the families in our kehillah said to us, Bruchim Abayim, you're welcome to come move in with us. And we moved in to these wonderful people's homes, into their guest room and their área de servicio and the playroom. Those 3 rooms we lived in for a month. Now, during the time that we were there, my husband and I, we said to each other, we need a zechut. What zechut do we need to find a home, right? What else are we supposed to do? And we weren't sure. But we were learning the parasha of the Shavua that week, which was Parashat Shemot. And in Parashat Shemot, as the rabbi said before, we were learning about the story of the Mialdot. The Mialdot, Yocheved and Miriam. And the pasuk says over there, Vater'ena ha-mialdot et ha-Elokim, that the Mialdot, these midwives, they feared Hashem, they feared God. Okay, what does that mean? So again, Rashi comes in and he explains. They feared God more than they feared Paro. Why? Because Paro said, you go kill the babies. Go kill all the babies. And they said, no, we're not. They stood up to Paro. They said, we're not going to kill the babies. We're going to save these Jewish babies. And what was the reward? The pasuk continues, Vaya'as lahem batim. Hashem gave them homes. Now, as the rabbi explained before, there were homes that were referring to Batei Kuhuna, Batei Malchut, but my husband made a nuance on these words, and as we were reading it, he said, 1 minute, Batim. And here's the thing, by the way, we needed a zechut for 2 homes, because we needed to find a home in Miami, but in order to buy a home in Miami, we actually had our home here in Mexico that we were not able to sell. We had to sell this home in Mexico to buy a home in Miami. 6 years, our house in Mexico was on the market. Nobody was buying it. Nobody was interested. Okay? So we read these words and my husband said, Vayas lahem batim. The reward for saving Jewish babies was homes. Batim, 2 homes. We could sell our home and buy a home. And we got very excited. We're like, okay, We have to save a Jewish baby. But how do we save a Jewish baby? We're not doctors. What are we going to do to save a Jewish baby? Now here is the first part of the hashgacha. The people who were hosting us in their home are very good friends with Ner, who is the CEO and the head of Efrat, and they said to me, oh, you want to save a Jewish baby? Call Efrat. I was like, who's Efrat? What's Efrat? And that was my first experience with Efrat. We donated money to save a Jewish baby. Now, the next part of the story, I can't make this up, okay? The next day, we get a phone call from Mexico. Somebody was interested in buying our home. 6 years it's on the market, we couldn't sell it. Somebody bought our home. We're like, wow, this is amazing. And I got so excited, I started calling everybody that I knew who needed some zechut that had to do with a home. Not just buying a home or anything with a physical house, but any sort of home. Building a bayit ne'eman b'Yisrael. Anybody who was struggling with shidduchim and wants to build a Jewish home. I called them and I said, donate to Efrat. Anyone I knew who was struggling with conceiving, with having a child. I said, you want to build a Jewish home? Go donate to Efrat. I called my good friend whose son was dating somebody who wasn't Jewish. And I said, you want a zechut for him to marry a Jewish girl and build a Jewish home? Donate to Efrat. And I'm getting everybody to donate to Efrat. And I'm on a high. I'm so excited about this. And a few days later, we get a phone call from somebody in our conjunto. They were not yet part of our kehillah. I didn't really know them, but they knew us. And they called us up and they said, I hear you're looking for a home. We said, yeah. They said, we own 2 homes in this conjunto. One of them we live in, and the other one we were renting out to different tenants. And we just decided our tenant is moving out, and we're not going to rent it to anyone else. We're going to sell the house to you. And they sold it to us much cheaper than if they would have put it on the market, right? They gave us an incredible discount. And I'm going to tell you even more hashgacha. The amount that we sold our home for in Mexico, the amount to the penny was the exact amount that we needed for the down payment on the house in Miami. To the penny. It was unbelievable. And I said, wow, what a zechut to save a Jewish baby. And then we were hooked. After that, I just got more and more involved with Efrat because this is a mitzvah. And I said to myself, we do all these mitzvot, we do all this chesed, we do this. When do we have an opportunity to do the mitzvah of saving a Jewish life? Unless you're a doctor or work in Hatzalah, we don't have the opportunity to do that. But now we do through Efrat. And to keep the mitzvah of ubacharta b'chaim, because we are allowing these mothers to have the choice. Yes, you could. You could save your baby, you could have your baby, and you could be fine. And that's what I wanted to share with you tonight about Efrat. And I wish I can go on and on, but I was only given a few minutes and I already went over time, but there are so many stories that I would love to share with you. Some stories how we see so clearly the bracha that each of these babies bring into the world, and how some of these mothers recognize that when they have their baby, they think that they saved their baby's life, and then they realize, no, the baby saved their life, because their baby brought back more energy into their life and more excitement, and their baby went and brought them from just being alive to actually living. So that's what we need to understand. Yes, it's a tremendous thing that we're going to save the lives of these babies. But what I want you to understand is the incredible bracha of saving a baby's life is that the baby actually saves your life, because it brings you back, it gives you so much more vitality in your life. And I want to invite every single one who's in this room to get involved in Efrat in some way. We have a ladies committee, right? Ladies Efrat, where we're going to have here in Mexico, monthly or something, activities and ideas for how to get more people in the community connected with Efrat. But you could be the first people. You could be the pioneers of the ladies Efrat, right? And anybody else who's feeling inspired right now to save a baby's life, we're coming to Rosh Hashanah and we're asking Hashem for a life. Zachreinu l'chaim. We can stand up on Rosh Hashanah and we could say, Hashem, I saved a baby's life. Now I'm asking you to save my life or my child's life, right? Give us another year, and a year not just where we're going to be alive, but a year where we're going to actually live. That choice is ours, right? So as you walk out of here tonight, there are going to be a few people outside over there who are going to help you fulfill the mitzvah of Ubacharta B'chaim, and they're going to give you an opportunity. It's very important, if you're feeling inspired right now, to be able to speak to them and see what you want to do, how you can get involved, because once you go home, we know what happens to the inspiration. What happens to the inspiration? Right? It's like glitter. It just kind of fizzles away into the world. Right now, if you want the biggest zechut, we act when we feel the most inspired. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It was a pleasure to meet all of you.